Steven, yeah, those are VHS tapes and Killer Clown's masks. Thank you for noticing.
Nice. Looks like quite the collection.
Oh yeah, man, I'm a big fan of physical media, big fan of yours as well. Blaine Abel is a such a driven character. How did you prepare to embody someone raised by fire and brimstone preacher, now leading a militia of true believers?
It was, and I did not do this on purpose, but I realized I am in fact wearing somewhat of the inspiration was Nick Cave.
Love
Um,
it.
Not in the fire and brimstone manner, but just in sort of the way Nick performs the gospel in a way. Like he takes over and he becomes someone else. And that was a big inspiration for Blaine of being, it was exciting to be able to do be a preacher and to, sing a hymn in a church and to speak that kind of language is wonderful because it's almost Shakespearean, when these preachers talk and Blaine sort of has that from his father and now he's bringing it. But Nick Cave was a big inspiration. I was sort of with Aaron and Luke. I was like, wow, it'd be great to get a Nick Cave song, but
That's cool, man. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. I always really enjoy when some of the Cave music makes its way onto a soundtrack, TV shows, any movies at all, because it's just one of those bands that is kind of goes underappreciated. So I'm
oh,
stoked.
they're wonderful. And
It
Warren is like a friend that I just absolutely adore, and I think he's a genius too. What Nick and Warren do, collaborating. And if you haven't read Warren's book, Nina Simone's Chewing Gum, highly recommend it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll take a look. That's awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate the recommendation. Yeah, I was curious about the inspiration from any real life figures or characters when crafting this, and that kind of leads me to my next question. Like, did you help shape any of the dialogue? I know that this comes from a graphic novel, but did you get any I guess leeway as far as shaping the dialogue or even the backstory with this role?
Well, I mean, not. I mean, I guess I did have input early on because he was not going to be the Blaine Abel in the comic books. So
Yeah.
that we established early on. Like, let's take him sort of away from the comic book, and create something else. So there was again, Aaron, Luke, and I, we did discuss immediately this Nick Cave thing that I had going on, and especially with this hair, it just seemed at first I was thinking the Nick Cave
Yeah.
hair, cut it jet black. But then you realize in that town, Wausau, small town, that guy who's also like a mechanic, he wouldn't color his hair black. You know what I'm saying? So that did.
Yeah.
So we had sort of those discussions early on of like, this is sort of the idea I've got and they've got, and they lined up. So there was nothing really presented to me that was needed changing or altering. It was just, again, dealing with the language and the way he speaks. Wanted to make him the one thing was he doesn't need to scream and shout because for him, God will judge you, not me. So that kind of came more once you shoot, because it doesn't matter how much you talk about a character and how much you work on it until you actually get there and you're doing it. That's when it really started to sort of have that, stand up straighter and that presence of like, hey, just relax. I'm not here to judge. There's something higher than me. And that sort of calm, which then, comes across quite eerie when,
Yeah.
when he's doing it, because you're kind of, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah, almost like a less is more type mentality, which is eerie. I mean, almost it makes me think of like all the horror characters we kind of know and love. A lot of them don't even have to speak to be intimidating, and I kind of gather that with this role as well. Is that kind of what drew you to this role? Like, was it the religious undertones, the psychologic, like the intensity, or was it something else entirely?
It was pure, it was such a different character for
Yeah.
me. And with these luscious locks that are soon to be gone, it was just such a great opportunity to create another character. I apologize for the leaf blower, if that's annoying. It's, of course, in California, every hour of every day, you have to have someone blowing something somewhere. Southern California, baby. Um, but that was a big appeal for me, a different character, you know? I mean, I take great pride in being able to do different characters and essentially try to make them as unique. And obviously, you get recognized or known for certain specific big characters, but it was important to me to create a different character. And this certainly had everything that I could want in a different character. And also the story, you know, was very interesting in the small town. And so it was all of that over like, oh, religion, yay. No.
Yeah, it's kind of going off that too. Blaine does see Revival Day as this divine calling. And I think one of the things that kind of stood out to me was your approach to balancing his like faith-based zeal as well as his like dangerous tendencies. He's more militant. Was that difficult, or was that kind of like in the script for you just to kind of play with?
Yeah, I mean it's you know, I always say it comes down to the words, right? And if the words are good, the actor's job is much easier. And so they did a great job, right? They're
Yeah.
reading this. So it made it much easier to step into. You know, sort of this, there's obviously there's analogies that could be made about things going on in the world and certain types that equal certain things. So it came sort of a bit from that too, of like, what do these people generally behave like that are these zealots? And so that was sort of came in as well.
Yeah,
Into
let's yeah, let's talk about that. With revival, there are themes of death, resurrection, fear-driven like extremism. How do you think Blaine's arc fits into the larger commentary of the show is making ultimately?
well, he's certainly, I mean, he's on one side of it, right? And that's
Yeah.
what it's what I enjoy about revival so much and why there's so much to explore is I like this idea of having different views, different ideas, but is there a commonality or is there a common cause or can people work together for something? And that's sort of being explored. And now it doesn't always work out, but you know, especially in these most divisive of times we're living in, I think it's a nice opportunity to reflect some of that and hopefully show maybe a different path. Not that it's a preachy show, right? It is entertainment. It's
Yeah.
not a documentary, kids. Um, so that's, you know, that's part of it, right? Is like, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we touched on this a little bit with when I asked about the backstory and the dialogue, but how is collaboration on set? This is a pretty massive ensemble. How were things behind the scenes ultimately?
I mean, it's always story. It's like you know, it's a great group. And honestly, it's like whenever people you know, ask about favorite scenes and all that, the things you remember are the people. You know,
Yeah.
was it a good group or was it a bad group? And I've been very blessed and grateful to have a great group. And this was the same case. I mean, you know, and it's things like, oh, I always remember Romy and I sitting some farm we were shooting at, and someone's dog was there, and we're playing with the dog and talking about Japanese clothing, and like, you know, there's just like immediate connections with people, and Melanie and David I'd met before, so it's nice to see him again, and then like Andy McQueen, there's generally you click with everyone, but Andy and I had a particularly beautiful moment that sort of made the bonded our love or my love for him. You'll have to ask him if it's mutual. But it's we had a scene where I was the one I don't know if you've seen it where he's in the chair,
Yeah.
right? And so that now, and I think he was on the ground, and it's a pretty intense. We're face to face, and then we were shooting near a train track. So we're in the middle of it, and you can hear the train now. And this also goes to Aaron and Luke, who are the showrunners and producers, and Samira was, I think, our DP, our director on that one. I forget, but anyways, all I remember is the moment the train's coming. Andy and I are in this moment. and I'm right up to him. Now, generally, on sets, when now that you'll hear, sound will be like, sounds not good, or someone will be cut, cut, cut. And we just kind of, Andy and I were holding it, and we're just like, let's hold. Let's just wait, please. And they allowed us actors, bless them, to do that. Just hold. We're still rolling. We're still
Yeah.
rolling. Still waiting. How long this train is? Hopefully not too long, but we kept in it, just kept in it. Andy and I just looking, looking, looking until finally you could kind of hear the beginning of the end of the train. And we went right back into the scene. When you're able to hold a moment like that intensely for a train to go by and then get into it, pretty awesome. So it's like moments like that that you really cherish and go, and it's not about being, indulgent or anything like that. It's just about having this opportunity to truly connect with someone and lock in and just hold it and have the trust from the people around you to see that too. And I remember, I don't know who it was said, no, I could see you guys were locked in. Did not want to cut that. So that's a beautiful thing. So it's, again, reflective of the great group. It
Yeah.
is,
Yeah, you don't always get that, and I can say, just watching the few episodes that I have, that those things kind of are shining through for the from the viewer's perspective. And to kind of wrap up, can we expect more of Blaine's backstory or a plan to unfold as the season continues? I don't want to spoil anything, but are you someone that we should be worried about, or what can you really say to wrap up for us?
I always say keep an eye on his hair. Up or will it be down? What's Blaine's hair this week on Revival? I think Blaine, like every character, the layers are revealed. I mean, that to me is a good show, right? You're
Yeah.
not gonna have something static. You're going to have a slow reveal of these characters because their actions are going to reflect who they are. So we get to see more Blaine and we get to see more of what he's all about. And it's fun. Like it gets exciting. Like yeah, it does all pay off and it keeps growing.
Well, Stephen, here at CineDump, we let the doers know how they're doing, and you are doing just fine. I honestly, truly appreciate the Nick Cave reference and just kind of sharing that with me. That
Funny I'm wearing them today.
it's so cool. It's so cool. But again, man, congratulations on the show, and all of your future successes as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Enjoy the day.